The nuances of the relationship between Deku and Bakugou
are something that I've already talked about at length in a previous video that I've gotten quite a lot of flack for. In that video, I portrayed first season Bakugou as an unlikable, semi-sentient dumpster fire stuffed into a loose-fitting suit of human skin and sprinkled with an extra dash of misdirected rage for flavor. In response to these claims, I've gotten a lot of constructive criticism kindly asking me to stop watching the shit dub, kill yourself you cuck. Seems people were convinced that my perception of Bakugou was altered due to my choosing to watch the nausea-inducing dubbed translation instead of the subbed translation, which is God's gift to anime. So I went back to this perfect sub to watch King Explosion Murder in action, and I have to say, I realized that my initial dislike of Bakugou was absolutely justified. What the hell are you all talking about? Watching this kid feels like somebody inverted Sasuke, doused him in lemon juice, and shoved him into my open wounds. But that's not to say you were all wrong when you said that my view of him was changed by the dub. In fact, I would say that he's one of the characters who changes the most between the two English translations of the show, which is why 5 weeks later he gets to steal the show as the protagonist of his own episode of Subs vs. Dubs. 3 weeks late. You're welcome. Also, I did notice that a lot of you in the comments took issue with the way I said Hero Aka a lot in my last video. Don't worry, I fixed it. Bakugou's main purpose in Heroica is to serve as a foil for Deku. Every success on Deku's part challenges Bakugou's perception of the world and of himself. Every bit of derision from Bakugou inspires Deku to be a better hero and a better person. They're the kind of rivals who indelibly inform each other's identities just by existing, and until Bakugou finally breaks down and admits how long he's wanted to bend Deku over a table, he has to try to reconcile his philosophy that natural talent trumps all with the existence of a rival who started with nothing. There's one very important line of dialogue that significantly changes the relationship between Deku and Bakugou in the sub and the dub, and we'll get to it in a minute. But there are a few seemingly minor lines that are changed between the subbed and dubbed versions of the training game in episode 6 that give a very clear indication of how Bakugou's perception of Deku is altered in translation.
Until the exam, he was nothing. A little bug I could crush if I wanted to.
By saying that Deku is a bug he could smash, Bakugou tells the audience that he believes he is technically superior to Deku. He's a better combatant and therefore a better hero, so no matter how hard Deku tries, Bakugou is claiming that he will be there to force him back down into the dirt where he belongs. In the dub, the challenge that Deku presents is something that Bakugou believes he can overcome with ease, simple as smashing a bug, but the sub paints a different picture. Bakugou instead calls Deku a pebble on the side of the road, something that can be ignored or walked over without a thought. Bakugou doesn't have to think about beating Deku because he refuses to acknowledge Deku as anything. Not an obstacle, not a rival, not an easy victory. Bakugou has made up his mind not to care about anything Deku does because Deku isn't worthy of his attention. This change in attitude is further evidenced through lines like this.
Deku! Don't you ever forget what you are! You're a weakling!
Weakling is an important word on two counts. First, it implies combat superiority, which is one of the things on which Bakugou prides himself the most. Second, it's an attribute that only applies to Deku Quei Deku. And they said philosophy minors were useless. What I mean by this is that the word itself says nothing about Bakugou's relative position to Deku whatsoever. If Bakugou beats Deku to an unrecognizable pulp, steals his Super Nintendo and fucks his cat, then Deku's a weakling. If Bakugou tries to do all of those things but gets Detroit smashed in the dick before he has the chance, then Deku is still a weakling. But Bakugou is a bigger weakling. This phrasing is important because it makes it clear that Bakugou's concern is winning the fight against Deku because losing the fight would damage his status, his self-perception, and in many ways, his worldview. Compare this to the subbed phrasing where he says, "You are below me." This is referential phrasing, and it puts Deku in a clear position of inferiority to Bakugou no matter what. This plays into what Bakugou says about Deku being a pebble on the side of the road. He's not a concern or a rival or a foil, he's a non-entity. Bakugou doesn't see any chance that Deku could ever challenge his position, and the fact that he's trying serves more to annoy and enrage him than it does to cause him any legitimate concern. Even if Deku winds up winning this fight, which neither version of Bakugou sees as a possibility, that would just be a glitch in Bakugou's narcissistic fixed mindset worldview. Saying "you are below me" gives Deku's growth a hard limit in Bakugou's mind as he presses his bare ass against the glass ceiling of heroism and tells Deku to pucker up. But the real importance of this change in phrasing is that Bakugou is correct and Bakugou is not. No matter how you spin it, Angry Boom Boom Mix suppressed homosexual tendencies is just better than Deku in all the ways that matter to him. He's a better fighter with a better quirk who gets more recognition from the public. So when Bakugou says he's a bug I could crush, by his own standards, he's right. I mean, he does win that fight, after all. But the notion held by Angry Boom Boom Mix suppressed homosexual tendencies that Deku is a pebble on the side of the road who can just be ignored is flat out incorrect. As anybody who has ever seen even the worst of shonen anime could tell you, main character Kun might be a powerless nobody with the laws of physics stacked against him, but he's never gonna give up, damn it. And the more Bakugou ignores Deku's indomitable sense of perseverance, the closer Deku is going to come to surpassing him. Bakugou also takes a significantly more active role in crushing Deku's dreams in the dub than he does in the sub. Consider this line.
Here's a little word of advice, nerd. Don't even think of applying, or else.
And this one.
Someone's gotta teach that worthless nerd how the world really works. I hate it when he talks heroes.
Bakugou's threats tend to be explicit and active. While Bakugou implicitly threatens Deku with violence if he applies to UA through the hand on the shoulder, Bakugou vocalizes that threat, saying "don't apply" or "else" instead of just "don't apply." Likewise, Bakugou's comment about teaching Deku how the world really works gives him an active role in Deku's, personal development. While Bakugou might acknowledge that Deku is delusional and needs to be brought down a few pegs, for the most part he doesn't see that as his job. It's something he's happy to do, but at the end of the day he would much rather just be able to forget that Deku exists and be done with it. But Bakugou is an asshole on a mission. He sees it as his personal duty to stop Deku from trying to rise above his station, like some kind of twisted monomaniacal super Javert trying to bring justice to Izuku Valjean, which is part of the reason why the change in the next line we're going to talk about is so important.
I don't know why I did what I did.
Then there's a montage that we skipped.
Maybe it was the look on his face.
Kamchan, I couldn't just stand there and watch you die!
This is possibly the most drastic line change in the entire first season of Akohira, and while the implications it has for Deku's character are numerous and something that I should have gone over in part 1 of this video, if we look at this line through the two Bakugou-shaped lenses that I presented here, we see that this change in phrasing has significant implications for how Bakugou perceives his lifelong rival/sexual quarry. Namely, both of Deku's comments attack a different aspect of Bakugou's insecurities. Starting with the subline, the phrase "you looked like you could use some help" is mostly impersonal. Deku is helping Bakugou not out of any sense of personal obligation to his abuser, but rather because he is a human being who needs help. Naturally, the idea that Deku is in a position to help him is distressing to Bakugou, given what we've already talked about with regard to his ideas about people's places in society. He interprets Deku's offer of help as condescension, since he sees Deku as someone who is inherently beneath him and not worthy of significant interest. It's an attack on Bakugou's own self-perception as a heroic prodigy that a non-person like Deku could dare to imply that he would offer any kind of help to the self-proclaimed Lord of the Ass Blasters. It's also important that this action, although unsuccessful, forces Bakugou to confront an aspect of himself that he finds lacking. Namely, that he's kinda shit at being a hero. Bakugou is a top-tier character when it comes to combat skill, but every other aspect of heroism leaves more than a little to be desired. So yeah, Bakugou can kick you apart, but you can't kick world hunger. You can't punch little old ladies across the... Okay, I guess you could, but... Anyway, by offering help, Deku is reminding Bakugou that being a hero isn't about kicking ass, it's about kicking ass by helping people, and the lack of desire to do that is one of Bakugou's biggest failings as a prospective superhero. Deku's dubbed line hits Bakugou on a different front. Not only does the phrase "I couldn't just stand there and watch you die" imply weakness on Bakugou's parts, it reminds him that even his combat prowess, the thing that up until this point has been his major source of pride, has failed him in this instance. This is his first real encounter with a supervillain, and not only did he lose, he didn't get the chance to fight. And now the worst possible person, the little bug that he could crush if he wanted to, is running through the crowd of superheroes to rub that in his face. Instead of hitting Bakugou in the places where he knows he's weak, like the subbed line does, the dubbed line makes Bakugou question his perceived strengths. For his whole life, Bakugou has been praised on the basis of having an amazing quirk. And now here's quirkless, worthless, defenseless, weak, fuckable Deku running up to tell him that his quirk isn't enough. The dubbed line is also exceedingly personal in a way that the subbed line isn't. The subbed line implies that Deku would do this for anyone in need, but the dubbed line applies specifically to Bakugou. Everything that we see in the first season hammers it home that Bakugou has been an irredeemable ass fuck to Deku for basically their entire lives, and yet Deku still refuses to stand by and do nothing while Bakugou is in danger. Deku's interference in the fight to protect someone who has literally told him to kill himself is an act of heroism of which Bakugou is nearly incapable in his present state. It makes it clear to him that to be the hero he wants to be, he has to change. But, as I went over in the other video on this subject, change is something that he doesn't see as a virtue if he thinks it's possible at all. Instead of believing that some people are born great and some people achieve greatness, he believes that some people are born great and some people aren't. And the way that Deku reacts to this idea is one of the driving forces behind Bakugou's character. Take this line from the training game.
You can call me Deku, but I'm not the same helpless, defenseless kid anymore. You hear me? I've changed! From now on, Deku is the name of a hero!
By calling Deku Deku, Bakugou is attempting to make him realize how pathetic his dream to become a hero is, and the changing motivation behind Deku's decision to take the name changes the thematic implications of Bakugou's mentality toward change. Change, 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 change. First, in the sub, Deku accepts his name because of something Ochako said to him earlier in the series, that Deku gives off a "you can do it" vibe in Japanese. So the name that J Deku takes isn't the name that J Bakugou tries to thrust on him. It may be the same sound, but the meaning behind it changes to one that's more explicitly positive. This is an inverted reflection of Bakugou's mentality toward change and personal growth. Bakugou gives him the name as an immutable symbol of inferiority, but by changing the meaning of the name, Deku is effectively saying that Bakugou's mentality about natural-born talent is flawed. The dubbed line hits on a different level. Since we don't get the line about Deku and "you can do it" being similar in the dub, because in the dub they aren't, Deku's acceptance of Bakugou's nickname comes with all the same baggage that Bakugou initially put into it. To Deku, it still means useless, worthless, sexy, and delusional, just as it always has. The difference now being that Deku is using all these qualities as reminders of where he's been and the derision he's faced to be where he is now. While the subbed line infuriates Bakugou because it implies that Deku has changed and grown, the dubbed line instead infuriates him because it makes him powerless. When Deku takes Bakugou's insult and makes it a source of pride, that insult stops having any power over him. And since Bakugou sees it as a duty to crush Deku at every turn, the lack of power makes him feel like he's failed in his personal mission. While the lines I presented here focus on Bakugou's need for personal growth, the dub and the sub both choose to round out Bakugou's character in different ways by homing in on different aspects of that growth. The sub focuses on hitting him in his insecurities, focusing on things that he knows he's bad at and bringing them to the forefront. The dub instead tries to dismantle Bakugou's existing worldview, making him question the things that he perceives to be strong points of his character and forcing him to consider that he might not be the infallible demigod that he believes himself to be. And while Bakugou doesn't show much in the way of significant personal growth in the first season, the seeds planted in both the sub and the dub pave the way for Bakugou to become a better person and a better hero.
Where are the Hero Aka videos, Bryant? It's been 5 weeks, Bryant! Where are they?
Cool your jets, I think I can make up for it. You remember that?
No! No songs!
Oh, thank you. First off, I've been doing other shit, including launching 2 new channels so you don't have to wait an indefinite amount of weeks for new X-Point content. First, one that you've been asking for a while, the music channel Side Notes, currently featuring 3 Decemberists covers, like this one.
And here in our hollow, we fused like a family. but I will not mourn you.
You can expect new Side Notes content every Wednesday, and that's an X-Point guarantee, so we know what that's worth. Second is the one that literally none of you asked for, my gaming channel, Questing Mark. It's a sword with like a question mark for a top, and I'll get a better one. Questing Mark currently features a few episodes of a Let's Play of Doki Doki Literature Club that I did with Evan. You know, balloon dancing Evan.
If a story makes me think or takes me to another world so I can forget numb for 30 minutes,
You cannot make her sound like that.
then I really can't put it down.
Doki Doki Literature Club, for those of you who don't know, is a dating simulator, a totally normal dating simulator that is not for children or people who are easily disturbed. Additionally, I've been doing the Hallway Chats podcast with Manime Matt and MathWiz97, and I'm on this season's seasonal Weebcast with Jeff, Yazzie, and Arcada, so hopefully that helps to make things better at least a little bit. Also, if you guys want more talk about subs and dubs, go check out Cartoon Cypher, a criminally underviewed channel who did a recent video about the dub of Colby Beep Boop. Semi-recent. It was recent when I started writing the script. As always, thank you to my patrons and prospective patrons. If you want to join our weekly game night live streams, head over to patreon.com/explanationpoint to find out how. They're always a hoot. Links to everything I talked about here in the description, and until next time, which will hopefully not be 5 weeks from now, this has been Explanation Point, signing a sincere letter of apology to everyone who has been patiently waiting. I'm passionately smashing every expectation, every action's an act of creation.